Hey, welcome to Trucks. It's good to have you back this week. Now, just in case you're wondering, no, I have not forgotten about Project Crazy Horse or Copperhead or the Hairy Hauler. Their bodies are in the paint shop. Now, as soon as those are done, I'm going to roll them back in here. We'll finish them up for you. But in the meantime, I started another project called Sportsman. Now, this is a much simpler project than those. Started it last week, and I'm going to finish it up today. Now, this is a 2002 Ford F-150 Super Crew four-wheel drive. And the idea here is just because this is a late model four-wheel drive doesn't mean that it won't benefit from some aftermarket parts. So, the first thing we did last week is put on an ATI Pro Charger. This will give us plenty of power to tow a trailer or thrash down a muddy trail or heck, just haul some booty. Now this week, we're going to deal with the rest of the truck, make it look and sound like this thing's going to perform. First thing we're going to deal with is this hood. Now, there's nothing wrong with a stock hood. It's just, well, it's just stock. So, we're going to change that. Come on over here. One of the coolest new hoods to hit the market has got to be this one from Keystone Restyling Products called the Ford Shaker Good Hood. Now, this is a nice thick fiberglass hood. It's fully finished on the top and underneath. And installation is just the 4 factory bolts. Now, your eyes are not deceiving you. There is a huge hole in the center of the hood. That's because this really cool scoop that looks just like it came off of a '69 Mach 1 Mustang slides underneath, seals up against the hood when you close it. Guys, this is a fully functional shaker hood. Now, Keystone ships these things fully prepped, ready to paint. They don't paint them for you. So we sent this off to our buddies at Pro Glass, had them put on this really cool Mach 1 style stripe. Be prepared to spend a little bit of time with a file here, opening up the holes in these hinges. That way you've got plenty of adjustment to get this hood to fit just perfect. Now the idea here is to have a nice straight line on both sides, just like the factory. Now, once you have it how you want it, go ahead and tighten up your hinge bolts, and then follow that up with your windshield washer lines. Now we're ready for the fun part, and that's this scoop. Now here's how this thing works. Air goes in here, goes down into the air box, comes out here, goes into the hood, and comes over to this square area where you cut out a hole, and then this piece seals up against it and delivers that air down to your stock air inlet. However, our truck is not stock anymore. We've got a supercharger on there, and we've got supercharger tubes running all the way underneath here. So as you can see, I am going to have to come in here and modify this air box a good bit to where this will sit down the way it's supposed to. Unfortunately, that happens sometimes when you mix and match parts. You have to kind of make them fit, but end result's definitely worth it. Okay, you can see what I had to do here. I had to cut out a pretty good chunk of this air box to let these intercooler tubes come through. But to make this so it's still functional, I'm going to bend up a piece of sheet metal that'll lay across the top of these tubes, rivet into the sides, and that way the air will still flow out and everything will still work. Now, once you have it how you want it, go ahead and close the hood down and take a look at this thing. Man, that is awesome! The last thing we'll put on the hood is a stock hood latch. That has got to be one of the coolest hoods I've ever seen. Now, while we're messing around here on the front, it's time to do something with this grill because this stock grill is not getting it anymore. And one of the best ways to upgrade the front of your truck is with a custom grill. And Trends makes some of the best ones out there. Now, a Trends grill has nice aluminum bars that are real thin and really close together. It gives you a nice, smooth, clean look. And your mounting brackets are all on the grill, so putting one of these things on is fairly simple. Here's how you do it. The first thing we need to do is pop off this shroud and then take off these Phillips screws that hold this shell on. Remember, you have to take off your turn signal lights to get to the screws behind them. A couple of clips and wrestle that sucker off of there. Next, we'll get rid of this stock mesh, throw that away, Now we're ready for the new grill. Now a little point here, a lot of times these grills come in and they're a little bit bent from shipping. Now that doesn't mean you got a bad grill and you got to send it back. All you have to do is come in and straighten it with your fingers. This stuff's real soft. Now to install your grill, it's real important that it sits down flush against the grill shell. So any of these plastic tabs or anything that are in the way, you'll need to cut those off. Now once you have the grill exactly how you want it, all you have to do is come in, drill holes, and rivet it on. Then reinstall the grill shell and step back and take a look at this thing. Man, what a difference a simple hood and grill installation does to the attitude and the look of your truck. And I'm not done yet. I've got more to do after the break. Welcome back to Trucks. Before the break, put on a shaker hood and a billet grill on Project Sportsman. Totally changed the look of the truck. Now we're going to deal with the way this thing sounds. Now keep in mind, we've got a supercharger under the hood. It's huffing a lot of air into that engine. It'd be nice to get some of that air huffing back out. Of course, having a nice throaty sound is always a good thing. I'm talking about putting on a performance exhaust system. For our new kit, we went to Flowmaster and got one of their Force 2 catback systems for that particular model Ford. Now, we want dual exhaust sticking out the back, so this kit comes with the famous Flowmaster muffler. It's got dual outlets. Then we've got all the tailpipes that we're going to need, plus all the hangers are already welded on the pipes where they need to be. You get two really nice polished stainless steel tips, and of course you get all the hardware to put this thing on. To install the kit, first put on your intermediate pipe, follow that with the muffler, and make sure you're using some sort of a jack stand back here to support this weight when you're putting this together, because if you don't, all that weight can cause your front exhaust manifolds to crack or give you some sort of leak up there, and believe me, you don't want to have to mess with that. The tailpipes slide right into the muffler, and then they're held in place by the factory rubber hangers. The driver's side tailpipe makes a really nice bend here around the spare tire, and you're going to want to make sure you got a good inch of clearance all the way around the pipe. That allows for heat and expansion and vibration and stuff. Now also, make sure that your clamps are only finger tight at this point, because once everything's installed, then you can go back and adjust it. The last parts we'll put on are these polished stainless steel tips. Now, you can put these wherever you want, but they generally look the best nice and close up against the body and sticking out just a little bit, so when you look down you can see them sitting there. Once you have everything sitting where you want it, tighten up all your clamps, starting at the front, working your way to the back. And that takes care of the exhaust system. Wait a minute, not quite. An exhaust system is never quite done until you start it up and hear what it sounds like. And that is sweet. And those tips, man, this is awesome. And we're going to finish up this project, but after the break.
Just can't get enough of trucks? Check us out online at truckstv.com.
Welcome back to the shop and the final steps on Project Sportsman before I take it out and drive it. Now, if you'll remember when I started this project last week, I told you I wasn't going to do any kind of suspension lift or modification, and I'm not. That doesn't mean we need to keep these little weenie tires on this thing. The F-150 will handle a lot more rubber, so that's what we're going to throw on it. First, the wheels. These boys are from Weld Racing, and they are fittingly called the Stone Crusher. This is a forged aluminum wheel, so it's very strong, and the size is 18 by 10. Now, one of the most unique things about this wheel is this beadlock looking rim. Now, I know a lot of you hardcore wheelers are probably sitting there going, oh man, it's a fake beadlock. What are you doing with a fake beadlock? Well, the truth is, a real bead lock is not DOT approved, which means it's not street legal. It's a competition wheel. These, on the other hand, are street legal. They look good and they're really strong. Perfect for our application. For tires, we needed something aggressive, but also something that had some good road manners. So we made it called a Nitto, got a set of their all-terrain Terra grapplers, size 325 60R18, which puts these guys right at 33 inches tall, which is the biggest tire you can put on an F-150 without a lift. Matter of fact, you can see I'm going to have to trim some plastic both front and rear for these tires. Now these have a good aggressive tread for any kind of muddy road that an outdoorsman will run into, but they also won't howl and whine on you on the highway and drive you crazy. The last thing we're going to put on are some gauges so we know what's going on with that supercharger. Now for those, we went to Autometer, picked up a couple gauges from their Phantom series. This is for boost, this is for fuel pressure. Now both are very important when you're running a supercharger, and of course they come with the sending units and all the hardware to hook them up. Now to mount these things, we also got this really slick pod from Autometer, and it allows the gauges to be mounted up on the A-pillar for a nice, clean, smooth look. Well, that takes care of Project Sportsman. Now, we put on a supercharger and an exhaust system to make this thing perform better. Then we put on a really cool hood and grill to make it look better. And we put on some bigger wheels and tires to give us more traction and to make it look better. This would be a great truck to take hunting or fishing because it'll get the job done. But at the end of the day, you take it, clean it up, you got a great truck for the street. Now, I know you're tired of sitting looking at this truck just sitting still. So, what do you say we fire it up and go see what she'll do? The first thing that you and everybody else will notice is the unique hood. That, coupled with the grill, definitely make this rig stand out. The bigger wheels and tires make the truck feel more stable, and it definitely looks better. But it also gets far better traction, which is important when you're trying to see how close you can get to the photographer. The supercharger, definitely brings this thing to life, making the truck a blast to drive both on road and off. Of course, the Sportsman is not a truck you would necessarily try to get muddy, but thanks to the supercharger, any surprise mud holes, within reason, shouldn't be a problem, which makes this a perfect vehicle for any outdoor enthusiast.
Coming up next, no matter how tough you build them, every truck has its limit. The fun is finding it.
Engines. I'm talking big engines. These aren't little weenie things. Matter of fact, this is something that you would find in an 18-wheeler truck. Talking 855 cubic inches, over 500 horsepower, and over 1,600 foot-pounds of torque. Now, following something like that up is an equally massive transmission. So the question becomes, how do you connect the two together other than using some pretty serious bolts? Well, the answer is a pretty serious clutch system. Now, how does it work together? How do you keep from burning things up? How does it last? How does it compare to what you use in your street truck? Well, we're going to answer all those questions because we are going to show you how it works.
How it works. Brought to you by Wyotech.
Now, any clutch, no matter what kind of vehicle it's in, is subject to some serious stress, whether it's just from normal use or flagrant misuse. All right, Chad, this is a huge clutch assembly. What is it out of and how does it work?
Well, what you're looking at here is a double disc clutch assembly out of a Class 8 tractor trailer truck.
Okay.
This here is the flywheel assembly that is bolted to the engine and would rotate with the engine. The orange items in there are the clutch discs.
Okay, twin disc.
Twin disc setup, and this is your floater plate in the middle that is driven by the flywheel assembly via these drive pins, and this is your pressure plate assembly that's going to clamp those discs together.
Okay. To disengage the clutch, what do you have?
Well, this is a your typical release bearing, or a throwout bearing is what it's also known as, that is used to pull the clutch apart, allow everything to float together, and allow those discs to rotate independently of each other.
Okay. The big question that everybody has on a big rig clutch like this, you've always heard about them burning clutches up. How do they keep from doing that? You got 80,000 pounds here.
The key thing is adjustment, making sure everything is adjusted to factory specs.
Okay. How do you adjust something like this?
This is adjusted right here on the clutch assembly. This adjusts your pedal to the clutch disc wear so that we get maximum clamping force. The only difference between this and your street rod truck would be this is adjusted here, your street rod truck is adjusted on the external linkage.
Very cool. Now, something to remember, no matter how well you keep it adjusted, a clutch is consumable, so you will eventually have to replace it, but that'll be easy because now you know how it works. In the world of exhaust, most of you will recognize the name of Doug's Headers. They make awesome headers and X-pipes and flanges and stuff like that, but you're gonna love their new product. This is an electric exhaust cutout, mounts in the exhaust pipe after a Y. Now this has an electric motor in it that slides a stainless steel door inside the pipe to close it off. So when you're running down the road, want everything nice and quiet, pipes are closed. When you go on the drag strip or want to make a point at a stoplight, you open up the pipes, this bypasses your muffler and runs straight pipe. You can have more fun with these than you can imagine, and Doug sells them for $450 a pair. You know, putting custom seats in your project is real popular. There is no question where these are going to go. But have you ever gone out on a cold morning, sat in your seats and froze your butt off because the material was so cold? Yeah, I bet that you wish that you had a Cadillac or a Mercedes or something that had those fancy seat warmers. Well, now you can, because Rostra Precision Control has got this universal seat heater kit. It's got these heating elements that go underneath the upholstery and warms the material. Now the kit also comes with a control panel and all the hardware to put it in. And the best part is, now you don't have to sell your truck and get a Cadillac just to keep your butt warm. One of the most popular aftermarket parts to come along in probably the last decade has got to be the crate engine. You know, you go down, you buy the engine of your choice, it comes to you fully assembled, ready to run. Well, almost ready to run. Very few crate engines come with a carburetor, which means you get to go hunt and shop and find the carburetor that's going to work on that engine. Well, Barry Grant has a solution to that with the Speed Demon crate motor carburetor. Now this thing comes fully jetted and set up for your crate engine. So you literally take it out of the box, bolt it on, and the engine runs the way it's supposed to. No guesswork, no fooling around. That is nice.
Truck ups. When things don't go as planned.
In this shot, you've got a driver that's determined to push his custom Bronco to the ragged edge. And that's great! Stands it up on its end and great recovery. Of course, that's not the only thing that makes a successful racer. You also need to know how to ride that ragged edge and not go over the other side of it. Oh! It all goes bad for this guy when he hits this first hay bale. From there on out, who knows? Ooh! Tip of the week. Always check your hood latch before you race. Check out the height of these jumps. But if your hood does happen to fail, the heck with it. Do like this guy did. Win the race! Of course, having the hood come up during a race would be bad enough. But if you forget to bolt the body down, you're going to end up on TV. That's enough truck ups for today. We'll see you next week.